Hello students, today we will begin the second chapter in the syllabus for class 10, that is magnetic effects of electric current. Now before we understand the basic topics that have been covered in this chapter, I would like to briefly recapitulate what we have studied in the lesson of electricity. We studied that directed flow of charges constitutes current. We studied to maintain a steady current, we require to maintain a potential difference across the ends of the conductor. We also studied about Ohm's law, how current depends directly on the applied potential difference when all physical conditions of the conductor remains constant. From Ohm's law we derived the expression for resistance. We studied what particular property is responsible for the resistance, what particular factors affect resistance, and finally we studied about one important effect of electric current, that was heating effect of current, which has got both its own advantages and disadvantages. Now in the second lesson, that is magnetic effects of electric current, we will be studying about one more important effect of current. Now before we discuss anything about the particular effect of current, we will have a brief introduction to magnets. Magnets, as we all know, are so common in our day-to-day life. It is of various types and it is important in our everyday life, even though we do not realize that they are there. So many devices, so many appliances are present around us, and they might be having magnets as one of their important components, but still we are just not aware about it. Like as you can see in the picture, some of these examples have been shown. Like for instance, whenever we are having any function, we make use of loudspeakers. For making announcements, we make use of microphones. Washing machine is a common appliance in our day-to-day life. Electric bells, computer floppy drives, video players, to name a few. Magnets have got uses in so many places. Magnetism has different uses in orientation, information storage, theft control, identification, to name a few. So something that is so important in our day-to-day life, it becomes so important for us to understand what is a magnet. So what is a magnet? A magnet is any piece of material that has the property of attracting iron or steel. A magnet is an object which attracts pieces of iron, steel, nickel, and cobalt. Now, I would like to tell you briefly about how the first ever magnet was discovered. You might have studied in your junior classes that once a shepherd named Magnus was coming down from a mountain when he found that his iron rod got stuck on the rocks. Now he was literally surprised to see that why his iron rod was getting stuck. He also found that his boots, the boots that he was wearing, was also getting stuck to the rock. So that's when he realized that the rod was made of iron and the boots has got nails of iron, and both these objects were getting attracted to that rock. So obviously that rock might be having some property due to which it was attracting iron objects. Now it is believed that since this phenomena was first discovered by a person of the name Magnus, and the place where this particular phenomena was discovered was Magnesia. So from there this term magnetism came into existence, and hence these objects were named as magnet. So magnetite, the rock that was discovered, is also called magnetite or lodestone, which is a naturally occurring rock. This natural magnet was first discovered in a region known as Magnesia in Greece and was named after the area in which it was discovered. Now, if we are having two magnets, if two magnets are kept close to each other, they create pushing or pulling forces on one another. Now, these forces are strongest at the ends of the magnet. As you can see in the picture, a magnet has been shown and the ends of it are marked as N and S. Actually, N stands for North Pole and S stands for South Pole. Now, how we reach to this nomenclature, like why these ends are named as North Pole and South Pole, that will be discussed shortly. But for the time being, we can understand that there are two specific locations, there are two specific positions in a magnet where we find its strength to be maximum, and these positions are called the poles of the magnet. So magnets attract other magnets, but they can also attract magnetic materials. Now magnetic materials act like magnets when they are put close to a magnet. So most of the metallic materials behave as magnetic materials like iron, steel, nickel, but there are also certain metals which don't show this property like tin, copper, aluminium, gold, silver, or certain alloys like brass. So some metallic materials are magnetic, but some are non-magnetic. Non-metallic materials are not magnetic materials. So now you can see in how many shapes and forms you might be having magnets. There are so many different types of magnets available around us, and we put them to different uses as per our convenience. The most common amongst them, bar magnet, then the cylindrical magnet, U-shaped magnet, horseshoe magnet, circular magnet, and ring magnet. Now one question might be popping in your mind right now, that why so many shapes for magnet is essential. Why can't we have one particular shape? It would have been convenient for us to study about the properties of that magnet. Why we need to have different shapes? So for that we need to understand the properties shown by a magnet. As I was telling you that the strength of a magnet is maximum near the poles. So you can see it is marked N and S, North Pole and South Pole. Now I would like to tell you that the entire red portion that has been marked as N doesn't represent the North Pole. Actually, North Pole lies at a region near the end of the magnet. Similarly, South Pole lies in the region near the end of the magnet. So it is not that half the magnet is north and half the magnet is south. It doesn't work like that. So a particular region near the end is called North Pole, and similarly a particular region near the end is called, on the opposite side, is called the South Pole. Now I was telling you why it is named as North Pole and South Pole. Now this is one important property of a magnet. The strength of the magnet is maximum near the poles, and obviously the strength of this magnet is going to be decided by the distance between the North Pole and the South Pole. I mean to say that smaller is the distance, smaller is the gap between the North Pole and South Pole of a magnet, the stronger is the magnet. This means in order to have a strong magnet, you need to have very small, very little separation between the two poles. So as you can see in the bar magnet, there is a wide separation between the North Pole and South Pole, which is called the magnetic length. The distance between the North Pole and South Pole is called the magnetic length and usually denoted by 2L. Now just consider the example of a horseshoe magnet or a U-shaped magnet. Can you figure out the difference? Obviously there is a difference in the shape, but apart from that there is also a difference between the magnetic length. The gap between the South Pole and North Pole, it is so small. Just compare it with the bar magnet, and then the U-shaped magnet. See, the separation is so small. So obviously the horseshoe magnet or a U-shaped magnet is going to be much more stronger in comparison to a bar magnet, solely for the reason that the gap between the two magnetic poles is minimum in case of a U-shaped magnet. So that's one of the main reasons why you will find in most of the electrical appliances, wherever magnets find their use, you are having U-shaped magnets. You might have seen in the inside a fan or any other such device, the magnet that is fitted inside is having a shape like this. You might be have seen the coil inside a fan, and then the magnet. It's a huge magnet, and the magnet is of this shape. So the reason is that it is a much stronger magnet. But that doesn't negate the use of a bar magnet. Bar magnets are also very much useful. So now we will study about the bar magnets. Now, as you can see in the picture, I have shown the lodestone. As I was telling you, the first ever magnet that was discovered, and then in the picture I have shown how in the early times magnets were made artificially by hammering. By hammering iron objects, people used to make temporary magnets. Now, this was one important book written by Sir William Gilbert on magnetism. Now, whatever observations were made by William Gilbert and how it is important for us, that will be covered up in the later half, but for the time being I will discuss the properties of bar magnets. A bar magnet is a long rectangular bar of a uniform cross section which exhibits magnetic property and attracts pieces of iron, steel. So, the first important property of a bar magnet is that magnetic poles repel each other like magnetic poles repel each other, whereas unlike magnetic poles attract each other. Like if you bring the north pole and the south pole of a magnet near one another, you will find that they start attracting each other. While when you bring the same poles in front of each other, they will start repelling each other. How does this happen? Let me show you. So you can see that how the opposite poles attract each other. As the south pole and north pole, they are brought close to one another, they start attracting each other, while the same poles repel. Whether you bring two north poles of two magnets or the south poles near each other, the similar poles or the like poles will always repel each other. So this is one important property regarding magnets. Opposite poles attract and same poles repel. The next important property regarding magnets is that a freely suspended magnet rests in the north-south direction. Now, as you can see in the experimental setup, with the help of a wooden stand and a silk thread, a bar magnet, a simple bar magnet has been freely suspended. Now, it is observed that a bar magnet, when freely suspended from a rigid support, comes to rest in equilibrium position in approximately north-south direction. Now, this means the geographical north-south direction. The end of a magnet pointing towards north is called north seeking or north pole of the magnet. Now, if you remember, I was telling you that there is a particular reason as to why these ends are named as north pole and south pole. Now, this is the reason. Actually, when the magnet is suspended freely and then it keeps on oscillating for a while, and finally it reaches to an equilibrium position and align itself in a particular direction. So that particular direction is the geographical north-south direction, and obviously the end of the magnet that is pointing towards the geographical north is called the north pole, or sometimes it is also called the north seeking pole. Now this word seek means to look for, to search. So since the particular end of the magnet is pointing or trying to find out, look for the geographical north. So that is why it is also named as the north seeking pole. And similarly, the other end is called the south seeking pole or simply the south pole of the magnet. So this is one important property which is also called the directional property of the magnet. Again, one question I would like to answer at this point that you might think about, that why does the magnet align itself in the geographical north-south direction? We are having four cardinal directions, isn't it? So it could have very easily aligned itself along the east-west direction also. Why only north-south? For this, you need to understand this property. Opposite poles attract and same poles repel. So obviously when this bar magnet is freely suspended, if it experiences a magnetic force from some another magnet, then it is going to start moving. Now here you should remember Newton's law, Newton's laws of motion. A force acting on any object tends to bring it into a state of motion. So obviously unless the magnet experienced some force, it wouldn't have aligned itself along a certain direction, that is the north south direction. So who is applying this force and where is that another magnet? In this entire setup we have used only one magnet, so where is the another magnet? The other magnet is actually our earth. Our earth also behaves like a huge magnet, and the magnetism of the earth is actually responsible for aligning this bar magnet along the north south direction. Now why did I ask you to remember this particular property, that opposite poles attract and same poles repel? Just imagine the upper part of the bar magnet is having which polarity? North pole. So it should be attracted by which pole of another magnet? South pole. So earth has got south pole on the top and north pole in the bottom. Okay, south pole in the top and north pole in the bottom. Now this is about the magnetic poles of the earth. Actually geographical north pole is on the top and geographical south pole is in the bottom, but right now I am talking about the magnetic south and magnetic north. So magnetic south pole of the earth is on the top, which is going to attract the north pole of this bar magnet, and similarly magnetic north pole of the earth is going to attract the south pole of the bar magnet. So that's why the bar magnet aligns itself along the geographical north-south direction, and accordingly it gets its name. So this particular directional property of the magnet, this is actually the magnetism shown by earth. So this particular directional property of the earth is made use of in a magnetic compass. Now I hope you all have seen an actual magnetic compass. What is it used for? It is used to find out the directions. A magnetic compass consists of a small aluminium box and a small magnetic needle which is pivoted at the center of the box. The needle is free to rotate in a horizontal plane on the pivot. The top of the box consists of a glass cover so that the direction of magnetic compass needle may be easily observed. A compass needle gets deflected when brought near a bar magnet on account of the force experienced by it due to magnetic effect of the given bar magnet. Now just for the sake of convenience, the end pointing towards the geographical north is marked red so that it becomes convenient and easy for us to figure out which direction is the north. So as you can see in the figure that is coming on your screen, that the pointer is having a red mark on the side which is pointing towards the north. So this is one important use of the property of magnet. Actually inside this pointer, inside the point at which this pointer has been pivoted, below it is a bar magnet. So actually due to the effect of that bar magnet, the compass shows deflection, and that makes it easy for us to find out the directions. This is extremely useful device for the people who travel, for the travelers. Last of all, I would like to tell you about one very important property of magnet, For instance, if this is the north pole and this is the south pole of a magnet, and if you think that I simply break it from between, and that is going to create a magnet which is going to have, obviously when you break it from between you will be having two pieces, and you may be thinking that okay, I have separated the north pole and south pole, so now I am having two magnets, and one magnet is having only north pole and another magnet is having only south pole. So this is just not possible. You can never think of isolated poles. The two poles of a magnet cannot be separated by any means. If a given bar magnet is splitted up in two parts, each part behaves as a complete magnet having north as well as south poles. So even if you are breaking up the magnet into two parts, then still the magnet will be having a north pole and a south pole. It will be smaller in size, but still it will show two polarities in the ends. So the third very important property regarding a magnet is that you can never imagine about isolated poles. You can never think of separating the two poles of a magnet. So the three important properties of a magnet are, obviously this one, opposite poles attract, same poles repel. Then a freely suspended magnet rests in north-south direction. And finally, you cannot separate the two poles. The two poles of a magnet cannot be separated by any means. So this was a brief introduction regarding magnets. In our next class, we will be discussing about the magnetic field, how we can represent the magnetic fields diagrammatically. Through an activity, we will try to understand the magnetic field created by a bar magnet, and then we will study about the properties. Thank you.